Now Habersham is proud to sponsor interviews with the candidates for the May 24th political primaries. We hope by viewing these personal interviews, you'll get to know the candidates who will be making decisions that impact your life, your family, and your livelihood here at the local and state level in Georgia. We hope you'll vote May 24th, and we hope you'll be more informed in that process by hearing from the candidates themselves in these one-on-one interviews sponsored by Now Habersham. Hi, I'm Dick Stafford, and this is Now Habersham. Today we're visiting with Don Corbett, the incumbent of the Board of Education for District 1 of Habersham County. Welcome, Don, to Now Habersham.
Thanks, good to see you.
Well, let's start off with your background, your formal education. Tell us a little bit about your formal education and how it has made you prepared to be a board member of the Habersham schools.
Well, my wife, who's an educator in our system, she says I'm a lifelong learner. I completed my degree at Piedmont College, Walker School of Business at the young age of 49. And, I've been in the past, I've been a general contractor. I was a real estate broker. I've always been in business, always been in the private sector. I'm the only private sector employee, as a matter of fact, on the school board presently.
Mm-hmm. What about informal things you've gained from activities, groups, organizations, experiences you've had, travel? What are some other things that maybe have helped prepare you to help lead our local schools?
Well, I've been a coach. I'm very active in our local soccer program. Raising children will make you learn a lot. I kept up with my son probably until about 8th grade in math. He's a graduating senior. That and being married to a school teacher, you learn a great deal about what the system needs, through those experiences.
Now, you're an incumbent, so you've been here a while, but what goals would you see in the coming years for Habersham schools? And let me preface this by saying when I moved here 27 years ago, there was not a new school in this county, and most of them were not air conditioned, and most of them were outdated at that time. And I'm pretty impressed with the collection of physical buildings we have now, but what goals down the line would you see for the school system? Well,
our facilities are maintained impeccably. I mean, every school that I've been into, besides just the building and the mechanical operation of it, what our school teachers and administrators do at each individual school to give the students ownership of those schools. They're decorated with their work and everything like that. It's very impressive. But as far as goals, we're going to continue building with meeting our strategic plan, which we didn't have a strategic plan when I first came on the board. It was one of the first questions I had is where are we going? I know we have a mission, but that's something that the current board has built. We're going to maintain our status as a quality board. We were just recently, Habersham County School Board was just recently named a Quality Georgia board. And obviously budget issues are always our focus to balance revenues and expenses, and that's probably the biggest challenge. And of course academic achievement. We had a great deal of success in the 3 years that I've been on the board through student achievement, financial efficiencies, security and safety. I mean, from partnering with the Habersham County Sheriff's Office, we used to have our own police department. Didn't understand that when I first came on the board. We, in my opinion, got a better safety situation right now and have saved money. Whenever you can get something better and save money, you just can't beat that. And our plans for the future are to maintain all of that progress and continue that progress.
When my sons played football for Habersham schools and soccer, And by the way, it was called the football field, not the athletic field,
That's
which
right.
would include soccer.
That's right.
In fact, at first, they wouldn't allow soccer to be played on the football field in Habersham County. We would tear it up, they said.
Well,
But-
now we invite everybody
Yeah, I know you
to
do.
play on that new
Yeah.
field.
I was about to ask you.
Right.
And I'm friends with some young people in the high school and was asking them that same question. Tell us a little bit about the new athletic field. And there was a little bit of controversy about the cost of it, but maybe this is an opportunity for you to talk about that.
Well, the improved athletic facilities is part of our strategic plan, and it's surveys that we did with our students, and that's why we're here, is for the students. Improved athletic facilities was a key element of the result of all the surveys, and nothing really has been done with that field, other than mowing and fertilizing and that sort of thing, since 1972. And what we've had up until now is we've had to kind of manage who can't go on the field, as you say with soccer. And now we're going to have a calendar of just lining up who can go. Members of the community, of course, the Band of Blue will be able to practice on the field. Imagine that, and we'll be able to hold competitions there. We've never been able to do any of that because of overuse on the field. This is going to benefit not just our school system, but the entire community. One thing I want to point out is this was local money. It was not SPLOST. It was one of the other school board candidates mentioned that it was SPLOST money. It was not SPLOST money. This is from our capital expenditures, a special account that was set up years ago and has been added to, and it takes a resolution by the sitting board to use that money. And the way that Mr. Cooper and staff handle this through a committee process, including not just school administrators. It was, coaches, community members, teachers, our CFO. She's pretty much on every committee that we have. But it was a collaborative effort, and I don't know if you've been out there yet or not, but it's, I've seen a couple of soccer games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to the fall when the entire community can come out on Friday nights and, cheer on the Raiders.
There's been talk about, as an educator my entire life, and mostly in university setting, but also public school, a lot of talk about the federal government's involvement in local education, which over the years has flip-flopped back and forth with a lot of attention, then no attention, and it's just always something. And then within our own state, we have had over the years discussions about QEBs and how we educate young people here. What are your thoughts about the content of education and who should guide that, and what testing should happen, and how Habersham County fits into all that?
Well, what our teachers work with is the Georgia Standards of Excellence, and I believe that's where it needs to be. You need some sort of a standard developed, locally. These are Georgia's standards. And when I encourage anyone to look at the standards, they're available on the internet, and I don't see really any controversy. It's issues such as teaching a first grader that 10 pennies equal a dime. I've not seen anything controversial about the Georgia standards, and they're our own. You need standards, and this is just a minimum benchmark, just a start. Our teachers need to know what we expect them to teach, especially if we're going to be evaluating them. When there's all sorts of talk about merit-based pay and that sort of thing, they need to know what is expected of them. Folks moving into the community want to know that their students their children will be receiving some level, some basic level of, especially ELA and math. Competency. So I'm in favor of standards, and I'm not at all in favor of any sort of a federal push. That's called Common Core or whatever. And a lot of people like to associate the two. Our standards with Common Core. And as a matter of fact, some in the school board race have said they are not in favor of the Georgia standards. And our teachers are required to teach to the standards, and I fully support the standards.
What about funding? The budget, property taxes, the amount of money you have to work with to do what you wish or feel like you need to do, and the teachers feel like they need to do. How are we in Habersham County? How do you see that?
It's never enough, but the state funding obviously, suffered through the recession. It's back on as a matter of fact, the governor just recently announced, and we were able to include on our budget a reduction in those cuts, which through the conservative spending practices that we've had for the last few years, we were able to take and dedicate those additional funds to teacher pay increases. We're very reliant upon the state revenue. Some systems are not, but Habersham County is very reliant on that. So when we have cuts in that funding, and again, this funding, that formula is QBE is from 1981 with no real change to it since then. We know things have changed since then, but that all is going to be revisited currently by the state as how schools are funded. But I'm confident that we are working as efficient as possible, and we really our budget. The local system has not discretion, but we only have about 10% that isn't salaries. But yes, we are very reliant upon the state, and those cuts hurt us. We're back on a positive trend. I think this year it was just right around $750,000 that we haven't been fully funded. But still, considering that, able to, for the first time since 2008, 2009, have a full calendar for students, full seat time for students, and full calendar for the teachers, and a pay increase for all staff.
Let me ask you a little bit about statistics, and you don't have to give statistics. I failed to tell you any about bringing that, but maybe we could talk a little bit about graduation rates. So maybe talk a little bit about what percentage of our students go on to college, or say the technical college, or what's the graduation rate? What is happening in Habersham County with those kinds of statistics?
Well, through Mr. McGee's leadership at the high school, and every teacher and every administrator at the high school, we've had a record high graduation rate of 88.5%, I believe.
That's pretty magnificent.
Right, and the initial expectations are for our CCRPI scores at the high school to be to realize a tremendous increase. We'll see as those are released very soon. Well, that's all great news. But I agree with you. I mean, college, not everyone is a candidate for college. And Mr. Cooper, our superintendent, likes to say we want to prepare students for college, a career, or the military. It's very important. As a matter of fact, our CTAE department, Jonathan Stribling over there, they just probably 2 weeks ago announced a new cosmetology program, which we're going to have students in that program there. It's something that students have asked about. They will be able to leave high school and go out and immediately with a certificate.
That's good.
Right, and
used to be you'd have to go to the trade school.
Right, right.
But this is some other school.
Right. Well, the trade school, and this is a partnership with North Georgia Tech, and so those kinds of things are what we're working for. We realize every student does not need to, incur that debt that's involved with college. If they want to, they can do like I do and pay for it over time, and it may take a while.
Even though you've been there in this job already, in the coming days in the future, how will Habersham schools and the county and our community be different that Don Corbett is there?
Well, without my involvement, without my voice on the board, we will have 4 retired educators. I value educators, love educators. My wife is one. I remember, as you probably heard me say last night, my favorite teacher of all time was Mrs. Hill in 6th grade at Portsmouth Elementary. But I think that the board needs balance. I am the voice of the free market and business. I've sat on the energy committee. I've been involved with the agribusiness, the agri-center committee, and without representation for all taxpayers, you have an imbalance on the board. And I don't think there's anybody that feels that retired educators are underrepresented on the board. So that's what I bring to the board.
We've been visiting with Don Corbett, the incumbent of the Habersham County School Board, and we wish you luck, Don.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Good being here.
This is Now Habersham, and we're visiting this afternoon with Doug Westmoreland, a candidate for the Board of Education of Habersham for District 1. Glad to have you with us, Doug.
Thank you, Dick.
So let's begin talking about your formal education. Doug, what are some things that you could tell us about your formal education that have prepared you for being a member of the BOE?
Well, Dick, in 1984, I graduated from the University of Georgia with a bachelor's degree in mathematics education. In 1993, I went back to North Georgia College up in Delana and got my master's degree in mathematics education. In 2003, I went back to the University of Georgia and got my specialist degree in mathematics education. And then in 2008, I went to North Georgia College and got my master's degree, my specialist degree, in leadership and administrative. So that's my educational experience that I have, and I hopefully will be able to use a lot of that to bring to the table.
Sure. So let's talk about informal experience and informal education, volunteer activities, hobbies, things you enjoy doing, or just things that you have learned from outside of a classroom that make you a qualified member for the BOE.
Well, I'm glad you asked that because with my 31 years experience here in Habersham County, 28 years in the mathematics classroom at Habersham Central High School, 25 years coaching. I was the head coach of 4 varsity sports, and been an administrator for 3 years at the Alternative School and Success Academy, and also been a Key Club advisor for almost 30 years, and being a state Key Club district administrator. I have developed many relationships. I think the people they know me as being trustworthy, being loyal. They can trust me for sure. If I do what I say, they know I'm going to do what I ask them, what I would do. And just the experience of developing those relationships over those many years, Dick, I think would be very beneficial to bring to the board.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is if you were elected, what is the number one thing you would focus on, or a problem you think you'd like to solve? Maybe the first thing you would sort of do? What's our most urgent situation?
Well, the roles and duties of a board member, there's only really about 4 things, and that's to keep the vision of the school system as it grows, to make sure the student achievement is met, to hire a good superintendent, and I'd like to compliment Mr. Cooper's done a great job, and also to manage or approve a multi-million-dollar budget. We don't actually do the budget. We will approve it. We got a great staff. Stacey Newcomb and Holly Roberts, all of them do a great job of getting everything. The teachers with the zero balance budget, they do all the work there of getting their budget submitted, and the board will approve that. So the board, I think the Habersham County School System, it's in great shape. They have done a lot of things here recently. I think that there's no one issue that I would like to do to try to correct or anything. I just want to keep improving the school system. I want to support our students, to support our teachers. I think with the experience that I have being in education for so long, when those teachers come to the board, or the students or the athletes or the administrators, I feel like that I will be able to at least have the issues and stuff at hand that I can relate to my board members and stuff and let them know. Not that we'll do everything they ask. I don't want the people to think that just because I'm being an advocate that we're just going to do everything they want, but at least I will know the issues and I'll be able to relay that to my board members.
Mm-hmm. I've moved my family here 27 years ago.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, you coached one
Daniel.
of my sons,
Yes.
maybe the other one
Yes.
too, I don't know. But when Daniel was on the basketball team and also on the football
Yes.
team, the athletic field was known as the football field, and we were just beginning soccer, and I remember the soccer team was not allowed to play on the football field,
Right.
even for games,
Right.
because it was determined the soccer team would tear up the field.
Right.
Which, for
We've
the
come a
life of
long
me, I
ways.
can't figure out
Yes.
how the
Yes.
soccer team could do that. But
Yes.
so that's the question now. We have a new field, and it's changing, and I guess there are even some more improvements planned. And the students are very excited about it. I know 3 or 4 students who play on the field, and they were telling me just last week. In fact, they wanted me to come see the field.
Right.
So tell me a little bit, as a BOE member, what you think about this.
Well, I had the opportunity to get on the field a couple weeks ago at Special Olympics. I've been doing Special Olympics for 30-something years. I love doing that. And I had an opportunity to get down on the field, and it is just a wonderful, wonderful facility. I think it was much needed to upgrade that facility. Nothing had really been done to it since 1971 when it was built. Yeah. And you know, Dick, as well as I do, as we grow and as times change, we need to have more competitive facilities like with other schools and stuff. And our kids were going to other school systems and stuff and seeing the nice facilities and playing on turf and stuff. And we needed to upgrade so we could, you know, have a level playing field there so that we could practice and be prepared for those facilities. And I think it's wonderful that our soccer team and our track team, I mean, I'm the type person that I feel like that when we have a facility that we use it for a multifunctional facility so that all of our athletes can use it and be proud of it.
Mm-hmm. Doug, being on the school board or other public service positions in our county can eat up a lot of time. Yes. So do you have time to commit to being a board member?
Oh, absolutely. My wife and I retired last May, so I'm retired, and I do not have any other business that I'm currently working with, and so I'll be able to devote my entire time and energy to the board. You know, and I just want to point out too, Dick, that being a board member, I want the public to know that not only will I bring that educational experience of being a teacher and a coach and an administrator, but I am very knowledgeable on issues that are at hand that would be detrimental to our system here in Habersham County. And that's one of the reasons that's motivating me to get in there is because I want to protect our Habersham County school system. It's a great system. I'm proud that my children went through and graduated here. And I just want to be able to protect it from things like more governmental control, Common Core, IB, which is a European-based curriculum. I really firmly believe in local control. And we need to do what Habersham County needs, not what other school systems need.
I was interested in that issues that came up in the newspapers because I don't have children in the school system anymore, so I don't really know much about it. And you probably don't know this about me, but I'm actually an IB teacher trained to level 3, which means I can teach other teachers to be an IB, and got that certification in Atlanta a few years back in between college jobs. I was sort of shocked and surprised the first time I saw the article in the paper about IB, and I thought, whoa, that's interesting. And then I got thinking about it, and my wife, who you may know is a principal, and so we were both chatting about that. It seemed a little bit unusual for Habersham County. It didn't seem like a fit maybe that I was shocked by it a little bit.
Yes.
But having taught in IB and taught teachers in IB, I know some of the good positive things. There are also some negative things about it. A lot of the kids who don't reach out to become IB certificate earners, and not everyone does. Only a small portion does. Not everybody gets an IB certificate. Those kids can kind of be left out of that process.
Absolutely.
And if the whole school's teaching an IB, they're involved in something that they will never have on their certificate. So there are issues there. Is the issue gone? Is the question.
Well, I want people to realize that I know that the paper stated that the board has put this issue aside and they are pursuing the AP capstone. But it's just hard to believe though that after a year and a half of really pursuing the IB and looking at the process and stuff, and just to put it on the table at this point, I feel like that it could be raised back up again. I mean, if they can cut it off, it could probably be resurrected again. And I know there's some good aspects to the IB, but the thing is, it goes back to governmental control. I am a firm believer in local control, and I don't want some European country dictating the curriculum, grading the papers, and things of this nature. And it's like you said, not everybody gets that IB diploma. Matter of fact, the rate is very low because it is a very rigorous, but it is rewarding if they get it. But the AP is right up there with the IB. Matter of fact, my daughter did not have an IB, and she graduated second in her class and went to University of Georgia and got in. She's getting her doctorate degree next week, going to be an ear doctor, and we're proud of her. But, there's opportunities. I even asked Nancy Hickenbottom at the high school how many people, I think the biggest thing was it gives students more of an opportunity to get into college. and some students, right, and especially the Ivy League schools. But I asked Ms. Higginbotham the other day how many has actually applied, and she said she can count on her hands how many's even applied to those. So do we change the whole system just to cater to the needs for 1 or 2 or just 1% of the student body, when we really need to really concentrate on the rest of the student body's needs?
If you're elected to a District 1 spot on the BOE, how will it be different in the future with Doug Westmoreland on the board?
Well, again, it goes back to what I said earlier. I want to bring relationships to the board of the people, the community will trust me. I think I'll bring that piece of the pie that I'm a people person, Dick. I'm going to get out and I like to talk to people. I like to be a people person and to find out what the needs are and try to do everything I can to help support those. But I really do feel like the biggest thing I'll bring to the board is experience from all the different things I said earlier, plus the knowledge of these detrimental programs and stuff that could affect our Habersham County school system. And then just the fact that I just enjoy giving back. You know, Habersham's been so good to me for 31 years and provided my family with the life that we have. And I just want to give something back to Habersham County, and this is the avenue that I can.
Thanks. We've been speaking and visiting with Doug Westmoreland, a candidate for District 1 of the Habersham Board of Education. Doug, we wish you good luck.
Thanks so much.
We hope you've benefited from these interviews sponsored by Now Habersham. And we want to remind you, be sure to vote May 24th.